Renee, my wife and the youngest have a place they go to get their nails done. It's a kind of a local salon that, it's like Cheers, right? The place where everyone knows
Right.
everyone.
They all are. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
The ladies they know everybody, and that. So, this is a shout out to Lily's here in Maidstone. That's the name of the salon. And last week I drop off the youngest to get her nails redone, and this is like I'll happily pay for the nails if they won't be picking at their fingers. But she was getting her nails done in a natural kind of coat, plain for school, so it's not polished or whatever. And they put a gloss on it, and one of her teachers was like, that's kind of posh. And it was like, I know exactly. You couldn't tell. It was like translucent. It was like almost like just a clear.
It was clear nail polish. How is that posh?
And so now she gets it's like even more. I think it's more posh because it's like they work on it more, and they basically protect the nail, and then matte coat it so that it looks like a natural nail, and it's all it's like really looks really finished and nice. So anyway, so that's why she's getting her nails done. So I pick them up. They're kind of closing up for the evening, cleaning up and stuff. And it comes out that I co-host a podcast. I think Tara mentioned it or something. And then they're asking the youngest about it because she was on an episode about the flushing toilet. So I just get to see her, as she's talking to the ladies, she's talking about, how she was on the podcast and she was having fun and, all that.
And how brilliant she was.
She was great.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to know everything about the podcast, what it's about, how many episodes, what's the weirdest one. And they were just like, question. And I'm standing there answering, but I'm also kind of looking around the shop and because I like paint. And there's all sorts of really cool stuff in there, real cool tech, because nail adornment has this weird crossover into one of my other hobbies, scale modeling, glass files, tweezers, water slide decals, UV resin. I've got the resin right here on my desk. Lacquer paints, acetone. And it's all familiar territory. And I really enjoy the tech behind all of it.
So back in the day, there was none of that tech, right? You would go in and they would use like crazy, terrible smelling acetone to soak your nails in it so that your nail polish would come off, right? And then if you got nail tips, then you were dealing with the glue and the acrylic and all that other stuff, right? And so and then it was just depending on how good your nail tech was. Like if you had a good nail tech, she'd spend maybe 7 or 8 minutes per hand filing. If you had a really crappy one, it'd be like a half an hour later, we're on nail 3, right? And so I have no patience for that. Plus my nails are oily. So no matter what I did to them, whether they were acrylics, whether they were whatever, it would just pop off, right? And so for me, I have it on now, but but for me,
a pretty shade of red.
Yeah. Plus, I would chew my nails down to nubs, right? And in the end, having done so much work in racks and servers and data centers, it was probably a necessity in the end. You can't have long fingernails and do any of that. So, but they're growing in now because I drink way too much, milk with vitamins in it. And so now my nails are actually really growing. And so I'm kind of happy about it. But wait, so the whole room's asking about the podcast and you're off in some corner, working out what's in the bottles. Is this what you're doing?
Yeah, pretty much. And there's a giant bottle of acetone on the counter, right? and it's it's hard not to notice. You walk in, you smell the smell, you see the stuff. There it is.
I'll have you also know that the clear nail polish that they put over when they're done, the top coat, that's in a bottle that's as big as a softball because they use so much of it, and it comes with a really long brush in it. So of course you did because that's what you do. Yeah.
I know, that's me. So, but all of that stuff, our modeling supplies, I got the paints, all my paints over here on my rack and everything. A lot of it's the same stuff. Nail polish and the paint on my models, they come from the same place, the same sorts of solvents, same kind of film. Film is when it hardens and dries, the same airbrush. I got my stack of airbrushes over here. And I just didn't say it out loud in a room full of people, who do it for a living, though.
Into light, the west says away. I wanna move
to another episode of the Nostalgic Nerds podcast, where we talk about the history of technology, what it teaches us about the present and the future. Tonight, we're talking about nail polish, which sounds like a beauty topic, but it's not. I promise you it's not. Like, it kind of is, but it's a chemistry. It's a chemistry topic. It's a manufacturing topic, and a 5,000-year-old argument about class that happens to live in a 15-milliliter bottle.
Yeah. This episode's probably not going to be like, massive infrastructure like we like to talk about normally. It's not going to be
giving everybody
like
a break on the massive infrastructure talk.
This is the most important appliance. This is the most important invention. This is this critical, nail polish. It's not double entry bookkeeping here. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
or the sewing machine.
Or the sewing machine, yeah. Most people never think about what's in the bottle itself. It's a coating, right? But the same family as car paint and the paint on a scale model, they're the same. They're related. And that's what we're going to explore in this episode. All right, so one thing first. We're talking about the kind of the classic bottle, the brush-on lacquer. Gel is a different animal. We'll get to the gel. Interesting language thing. Here in the UK, they say nail varnish, not polish. In some places in the world, they use the word nail enamels because it's got this like shiny, looks like shiny, hard, like cloisonne enamel. So, apologies if I use the wrong term to folks, but I'll probably say polish most of the time. So what's actually in it, right? At the heart, there's one ingredient that does most of the work in nail polish. And this is the coolest part, I think. All right, nitrocellulose. That's the film part there. So when the liquid dries, the hard, glossy skin left on the nail is the nitrocellulose. And this is all right. So, all right, nitrocellulose is cotton treated with acid. In another life, it's called gun cotton. It's mildly explosive in bulk. So, yeah, explosives from World War I here made this possible. The same material made early photographic film and the first plastics as well. So maybe this is a big infrastructure thing. I don't know. But you're painting your nails with a tamed explosive.
I mean, you're talking about this like you love it. Like, this is really making you happy.
It does, right? So on its own, the film would crack the first time you bent your finger, or, you hit your nails or whatever. So you soften it up with something, and, usually that's, or not, usually, but classically in, the olden days and even today, it's camphor. Then a little resin so it grips the nails and it shines. There's a solvent to keep it liquid in the bottle. Color, right? That's the pigment. And a thickener so the color doesn't sink to the bottom. That's the whole recipe. You've got film, the nitrocellulose. You've got a softener of some sort, something to have a grip, solvent, color, and thickener.
And the thickener is why we all shake that bottle, and why it has that little, ball bearing in it. Because most nail polishes has the ball bearing in it to make it all, kind of mix up.
Agitate it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thickener is letting, go when you shake, and, it's stiffening again when it sits around. So same trick as no drip paint, right? Or ketchup even. There's a stiffener in it. And the unmistakable smell when the bottle opens is the solvent itself just leaving its off gassing. It's in the nail polish itself. It's not usually acetone, but it's a cousin of acetone, nail polish remover. And you just remember that smell because it's the bridge to my modeling workbench, Renee.
So I just want to let you know when you have nail polish and you have a color you really like and it's too thick because it's been exposed too many times to,
yeah.
You know what you do? You get an eyedropper and you throw some acetone in it.
That's
and bam,
right.
It's right back. Before any of that chemistry existed, people were coloring their nails, and almost everywhere it shows up. It's about rank, not beauty first, rank. Who you are, what you're allowed to wear, and what happens to you if you wear the wrong color. So we start in China. Around 3,000 years ago, royalty soaked their nails for hours in a mix of beeswax, eggs whites, gelatin, and crushed flower petals. Gold and silver were the royal shades, and then later red and black. And it was enforced. There are accounts of commoners being punished, in some tellings being put to death, for wearing a color above their station. By the Ming Dynasty, the elite grew their nails absurdly long and capped them in jewel gold guards because that was the entire message. Like today, that's what I'll say. Like today, long nails meant you did no work with your hands. Because if you did dishes all day long or you worked out in the garden, you wouldn't have long nails for sure. Because you did work with your hands.
So the status, that status display you physically can't fake, right? You can't have nails like that and then dig a field.
Right. So nails are the proof. Yeah. Or
type massive analyst reports.
Although I'll tell you this, like typing does help them grow, so it's a catch-22 because they get exercise, right? As weird as that sounds. The nails are proof. Same logic ran through Egypt, just different material. There it was henna, the plant dye, staining the nail a deep rust red, and the depth of the red mapped to your power. The strongest shade sat at the top. Everyone below wore a pale one. Cleopatra's red was effectively off limits to ordinary people for most of human history. A colored nail was not a way to express yourself. It was a way of announcing exactly where you sat and warning everyone else not to climb. Oh, it's the Birkin bag of the ancient world. And what gets me, right? And what gets me is how many cultures landed on this on their own, right? China, Egypt, India, the Incas, no contact. I mean, these people didn't know each other. Yeah. Different dyes, same instinct. Put the rank on the hands where everyone can read it at a glance.
It is kind of interesting, like all of these separate, cultures.
And then it goes all through royalty. Like we end up in the Tudor era where no one's allowed to wear purple, right?
Yeah,
it finds its way everywhere. Like, you advertised it until today where you see someone with a Birkin bag and they paid $38,000 for that thing. They could have had a car, but they have that bag instead, right?
Here is what's the? I mean, of course, the Birkin bag, but what's the plaid thing? The brown and the black and the red.
Burberry.
Burberry, yeah. Like, yeah. Anyways, it's not nearly as expensive as Birkin, but like, it's whatever. The problem underneath, the nail adornment, all of those different, systems and materials that they use, it's the same one that I have when I'm working on a model. All right, so I know there's like models and nails. Okay, all right, your nail is keratin. The same stuff as hair and horn and animals, right? It's hard, it's slick, it's kind of waxy, right? It's kind of got a weird waxy finish. And getting color to stick to that and stay is kind of hard, right? You had to soak your fingers for hours, right, in the gelatin and egg yolk or egg whites and, all that stuff, the beeswax. Those old, ingredients, those are the binders. They do exactly the same job nitrocellulose does now, and it glues the color down to the nail and it seals it, and just like it does with plastic.
And for thousands of years, it barely changed. Plant dye, natural binder, a lot of patience while it dried. Then in about a 10-year stretch in the 20th century, the whole thing flips, and it flips because of cars.
This is so cool. All right. I was talking to Tara about this, as we were driving around today, because she asked, of course, she always asks, what are you doing on the podcast? And I talk about nails. And she said, good, talking about the nail stuff. But thousands of years, nothing changes. And then, boom. All right. So it's such a clean case of one industry solving its problem and accidentally handing the answer to another. So here we are, early 1920s. The car makers had a bottleneck. Paint took days, sometimes weeks to dry, like watching paint dry, right?
Right. That makes sense now.
A car body would just sit there curing. You can't run a moving assembly line if the paint needs a fortnight to dry and cure. Have you seen some of the assembly lines now? The bodies are on these things, and they just like spin them through the paint, the vat, and just like it just goes and spins around. Just keeps on chucking down the assembly line. So DuPont, of course, is DuPont, right? It had to be
right.
DuPont. Cracks the problem with nitrocellulose lacquer. they had a mountain of nitrocellulose left over from making explosives in the First World War. And they turned it into fast-drying colored lacquer. You could spray it on, it dries in minutes, and it came in colors. This is the thing that put color on the cars while Ford was still mostly selling black. You could have the Model T in every color as long as it's black, right?
Right. So, and someone looked at that freshly painted car and thought, hey, what else has a hard, glossy surface? I know. Fingernails. Women won't mind wearing explosives.
I couldn't find a really good tell of what happened here, but the next part of the story, the people, we know about who the people were, but what gave them the idea, So more or less, French, makeup artist Michel Menard adapted the car lacquer into something thin enough to wear on a nail. Modern nail polish walks straight out of a car paint shop here.
And then it gets a sales machine behind it. In 1932, a couple of brothers named Revson and a chemist named Lockman started a company. They take the L from Lockman and they call it Revlon. And they sell one thing others didn't: opaque color. Before that, polish was sheer, so it was a sheer pink, right? It was just very tasteful, not very bougie, apparently, very forgettable. Like if you worked in a law firm, you could wear it, right? Revlon sold and it's called Revlon Red. Just so we're clear, if you go to buy this in the drugstore today, you will pick up the red color of Revlon, and it will be Revlon Red. And it was a full saturated red, and it matched your lipstick. Salons first, then department store counters in the country. And think about what that actually did. For 5,000 years, deep red nails meant you were untouchable. You were royalty. You were top of the pile. Revlon put that same red on a shelf for pocket change. By the till, where a factory girl could buy it on a Friday, wear it out dancing that night, right? The thing that used to mean, do not touch me, I outrank you, becomes a small, affordable thrill anyone could have. That's a radical flip, and it happened in about a decade. And then Hollywood did the rest. A close-up of a woman's hand with a perfect red nail, 50 feet tall on a cinema screen. There was even a signature look, the moon manicure, where you left the little half moon. I haven't seen one of those in years, though.
Yeah,
I hope it comes back. A little half moon at the base. You leave it bare so the color framed the nail. Glamour you could study at the pictures on Saturday and copy in your own kitchen table on Sunday after church. You can't wear red nails to church, so you did it after church.
Beth actually did the red tips just.
See, that's another one. It's the red French manicure. Yeah, those are pretty too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the chemistry is what made that reach possible. Cheap pigment, fast solvent, a brush. You could not have done it with beeswax and crushed petals.
That's the real shift in the whole story. For 5,000 years, color was a permission. Now it's a choice. That's new. That is the 20th century. That had to be at least a tiny bit empowering.
I don't know. How many times we witness these kinds of just massive
and it's all
shifts.
It's all the 20th century. It's almost like we evolved then. It was we you know what I mean? It's we figured out more things to do with the stuff we had. So we have this stuff left over. Let's use it for this. Oh, we put it on cars. Fantastic. Well, why don't we put it on other stuff? What else do we have like that? I don't know, people. Let's put it on them. I mean, it's go back to the peaceful use of the atom. Have nuclear stuff. What can we do with it? I don't know. Paint plates. I mean, we just did we did a lot of this stuff.
Let's make glass out of it.
Oh my gosh. So the 20th century really was this time of I mean, it figures, right? I mean, this is the time of Edison. I think we just had a lot of people who really were thinking why can't I? And they could.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's just, I don't know. It just blows my mind, right? There's a behavior that's only the most wealthy, the most powerful have access to for thousands of years. And then in the space of a handful of years, total democratization. Nail polish is cheap.
Don't you think it follows democracy though? It's almost like us peasants are shoving it right back in their face. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to wear purple. I'm going to wear red. I'm
Well,
going to buy a
sure.
car. I'm going to, you know what I mean? It's almost like, come with the French Revolution and then, the American experiment comes all of this ability to say, I don't care what you do. I can do the same thing. It's proving I'm free, right? I'm
Yeah.
proving to you right now I'm free. I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. And then it just keeps going. It just keeps going because we're capitalists and entrepreneurs at heart, right? So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
So this is where the salon and my hobby kind of collapse into one thing here. So I build scale models, mostly strange Japanese robots. Renee can see them in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's a different episode. We don't need to talk about that. And the paints I use fall into the same families as what's in the bottle, right? So like there's roughly kind of 3 kinds in the model space with some slightly confusing names, but it doesn't really matter. So the slow, tough ones thinned with petroleum distillates, those are usually called enamels. Petroleum distillates, like that's what makes them quote unquote oil paints because it's petroleum, it's an oil. Water-based ones, I got a bunch of water-based ones here on my desk here, little containers.
Well done.
They're popular because they don't smell, right? They smell like paint, but not the nasty acetone smell. And then there's the hot ones, the fast drying, they rock hard, and the ones that smell like, okay, if I like, and the glue that I use is the same stuff, right? So I have this little tiny thing of glue. If I open it up and I'm using it, and my door is open, like anywhere in the house, Beth will be like, "Close that door, close it," because it's really smelly. Right. So, nail polish belongs with that last group, right? Those really smelly, fast drying paints.
Wait, so if I blindfold you and wave my nail polish and your model paint under your nose, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart?
Yeah, probably not. And it's not just the smell, right? The thinners and the removers and reducers and things, they're mostly acetone or very close to acetone. And acetone is what I use to strip paint, off a model and start again. So it's basically the same stuff. And like when the kids run out of nail polish remover, it's over here behind me. So there it is.
So the same solvent doing the same job on a nail and a model.
Yeah, the same job, and many of the tools cross over too, like the airbrush. It was invented in the 1870s to retouch photographs. Modelers use it to lay down paint down in coats thinner than paper. At a good nail salon now, there's an airbrush doing, gradients and tiny artwork on nails. Same tool, same physics, same, compressor, all that stuff. The person doing a fade on a thumbnail and the person spraying camouflage on a model tank are holding the same instrument. I've got a glass file in my hand, like same glass file for your nails is the same one that I use on the models. So same tools, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I spend time on YouTube. Such a waste of my life, but I do spend time on YouTube, and I'm into press on nails, and you can buy a custom set, right?
Yeah,
and they'll turn them into.
Oh, I've seen some of those.
Yes, they'll turn them into all kinds of stuff, and sometimes they're just using gel glue to do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then they paint it, and all of a sudden you have strawberries or minions or
Yeah.
like crazy stuff, right? And sometimes they're super long, and they make them like so that they look like snow globes when you turn your finger upside down. You see, it's crazy what they're able to do with this stuff, right? So yeah, they're making models too, and then they're gluing them onto the end of their fingers and saying, "Look how great I look," and then just proving that they definitely don't do dishes, right? Because they would just come right off. So you're right? Like you see them do the gradient stuff with that. I mean, they call them nail artists. They aren't.
Yeah.
Those aren't people who just they'll charge you $250 for a set.
Yeah.
Real custom, right?
Somebody, I can't remember which kid it was, but they showed me one of these nails that, so I have 4 daughters, right? So I see nails a lot. And it was somebody did a whole set of Peter Pan themed nails.
Uh-huh.
And like you could turn them up and down and the little shadow, Peter Pan's shadow would slide up and down inside the nail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh. It's like
they
those
make wicked ones where one hand's Glinda and it does
Yeah.
all the
Oh my
Glinda stuff,
gosh.
and then the other hand's it's really
I-
they've taken it to your level. Like they've turned them into little models. And they use the tiny brushes. They spend all day doing it. They put them under magnifying glasses to get the detail work done. It's crazy. It's
Well,
crazy.
here's you want to see my eyes, my spectacles. Here's my.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah. So there's even a connection back to camphor. The same software made the first real plastic celluloid in the 1860s. So nitrocellulose plus camphor, they made billiard balls and toys out of it. Early model kits were made out of celluloid. So film reels. Right? This is why. Which movie is that? Is it is it Inglourious Bastards that where they burned down the movie theater or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it's probably that one.
And the lady starts the fire with the film because that stuff is super flammable.
Yeah.
The way that
Yeah.
because it was made out of nitrocellulose.
Well, they used to be very careful to use acetone to separate the film if it melted together. Because in storage, if it's not in cold storage, it melts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That stuff is super volatile. So the coat on a fingernail and the first plastic toy soldier are chemically cousins, right? Same two ingredients, but about a century apart.
The chemistry in that salon has actually moved on from nitrocellulose story, though, right? I mean, what a lot of people, they get gel now, and the gel does not behave like the bottle at all. And I can peel it off in 2 seconds. I'm doing something wrong. I'm definitely doing something wrong because gel does not last on my fingers as much as polish does.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of mechanism. The bottle, like your nail polish, it dries, right? The solvent leaves and the film stays. Gel doesn't dry. It's what's called a cures, right? So you paint it on, and nothing happens until you put your hand under the little lamp, and then it sets. It cures all at once, in about 30 seconds. Liquid turning into solid through a reaction that the light switches on.
No, I just told you I'm really into press-on nails, and that's how I get my nails on. I actually, you put that stuff, it's gel glue, you put that on, you put the nail on top of it, it'll stay, it won't go anywhere, and then you just stick it under the lamp, it cures, and now your nails don't go anywhere. You could wear fake ones for a week, right?
Yeah.
And you know what else they make is like nail polish that is half gelled. So it just looks like a nail shape, and you go buy it, you peel it off, you put it on your finger, and then you tuck in all the corners and everything, you peel off anything that is left over, and then you cure it, and then you don't have to actually have a bottle, nothing smells, and it's just it's a really thin bit of gel that's half cured. It's actually pretty good. And the little lamp, I have one at home, you stick your hand in it with a glove that has the fingers cut off because you don't want your hand looking old because it is UV, right?
Yeah.
And you stick your hand in it and it cures and you're done. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, the light kicks off a reaction that locks the whole liquid into a solid mesh. And this is super common now. Tons and tons of different industrial use cases, right? So the same idea as a dentist curing a filling under a blue light, right? They make you put the yellow glasses on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it blocks the UV laser that they're using or the UV light that they use to cure. The same idea as a resin 3D printer building a model out of liquid. We talked about the printers before. They build, layer by layer and then use UV light to cure it, one layer at a time. I don't have one of those printers, but the kids really want one. So, it's just, but the resin kind of smells and, what are you going to do? I already have too many models. If I printed more, then I would just have more to, anyways. So uncured resin and uncured gel smell, kind of the same. Yeah.
There's a real health story here that's been in the news. People developing allergies to gel.
Yeah. So one ingredient in particular. So it's this one small, very grippy little molecule, which is why it's used and why it's a problem. So, small, meaning it can get into your skin if the gel is not fully cured, and enough exposure and you sensitize yourself to it. And then you react to things in the same family for life, including some dental materials and medical glues. That would really suck if you couldn't get dental fillings. Yeah. Yeah,
or not have to get stitches because you could have used medical glue. All of that is bad.
Yeah. The industry is moving away from this one particular ingredient, HEMA. HEMA has got a really long name, and the controls around it are getting stricter about fully curing. And I'm sure the techs at Lily's would be able to tell you a lot more than I could. Yeah.
Should have had one of them as a guest. I want to talk about a more recent trend that's coming out of that allergen fear. Clean beauty. For about 15 years, the selling point hasn't been the color. It's been about what is not in the bottle. You can see it right on the label. 3 feet free, 5 free, 10 free, climbing like a leaderboard. Each number is a list of things they've taken out.
Yeah, so the first ones, the 3 free kind of stuff is, these are the easy ones to take out. A plasticizer tied to certain health worries, some harsh solvents, and yum, formaldehyde. They pull that on safety grounds. Bottle paint, they did this sort of a similar clear out around the same time, and still going through that today. Old hobby paints are like. There's even a sub industry, someday I'll geek out about this, but
yeah, okay.
The old Star Wars, Industrial Light and Magic guys out of Van Nuys, the original 1976, 1977 workshop, they use a specific type of paint, and model guys they try to find these old bottles of paint because you can still use it, and some of them go for a very, very high price because you just can't find them anymore. Because the chemicals that they use are different today versus then, but they're like way more toxic. So, anyways, if you want more toxicity, go buy old paint. They're full of nasty solvents and even lead pigments, and the whole hobby swung hard to water based over the last probably 20 years or so. Two unrelated industries, right? Same pressure though, same sort of time frame, and the same direction. Let's clean it up and make it safer.
It reminds you of Van Gogh. Like Van Gogh would paint, right, with lead paint. And he had a habit of, when he wasn't using the brush, to stick it in his mouth to keep it wet.
Yeah.
And so he would just suck on them. So he's sucking off the lead paint. No wonder he was crazy. Like, where do you think that goes? Lead goes straight to your brain and it makes you nutty, right? So, it makes me think of that. Like he, oh, the poor man. Yeah, he didn't think there was anything wrong with that. And probably no one else did either, right? It's why we don't paint walls so little kids don't eat paint chips. We don't use lead paint in houses anymore, right? Yeah. But notice what that nail version was really selling. Free thumb. Not the color you want. It's a fear you're answering. The whole language flipped from glamour to no, you'll be okay. It's reassurance, right? 5,000 years of selling status. And now the pitch is, this one won't kill you. I don't know. That tells you something about what people are actually buying. And here is another version of this label never mentions, right? The person breathing it all day is the tech, not the customer. The customer sits for an hour. The tech sits there for a career. And a lot of the move to lower fume formulas and better salon ventilation is really about the people working at the table, not the people at it. And one other thing I would say is, like, when they're doing acrylic nails, they make sure they put a mask on, and then they have a mask inside that mask, because years of that, you end up with the same thing that guys who cut cabinets end up with, right? And geez, all I wanted was nice nails. I didn't want to kill anybody, right? So, I'm glad that happens.
That acrylic stuff, and I didn't put too much of the acrylic stuff in here, but because in a lot of ways the gel has kind of superseded that. But the acrylic stuff, like, if that gets into your lungs, it's like plastic,
Yep.
It's plastic stuff in your lungs. You don't want that. You don't want that. So we talked about nails and paint and nitrocellulose and all that stuff. So where does it go from here? The whole coatings world, doesn't matter what application you're talking about, cars, furniture, electronics, it's all moving the same way, off of the solvent-based paints onto water-based and light-cured systems. I've seen, I do spend not a lot of time on YouTube, but one of the things that I do like is these guys that build these tables, the really fancy wooden tables, and these fancy wooden tables, they use different types of finishes and stuff. And now they're moving to oil-based UV cured finishes,
Huh.
And it's like, wait, what? How does my head's scratching? How does the chemistry work in these sorts of things? But the amount of time and the safety, the advantages of using these, instant cure systems is a lot better. Because, factories don't want to pump solvent into the air, right? They want to be more efficient, and they don't want to OSHA, breathing down their necks. Right? And
When
nail polish is kind of like a tiny version there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any manufacturer wants to give their employees cancer. Like, I don't think that doesn't do well for creating artisans who can continue. Well, all right. So more gel, less of the smell.
I I would point you to
Yeah, don't
Lockheed
bother.
and some of the
Don't
lawsuits that they've
bother.
settled in the last 25 years. Yeah, exactly. More gel, less smell. More light cured chemistry probably, right, is what we're gonna see if they could solve the allergy problem. There's also work on growing the film former from plants instead of treated cotton, and the same materials keep turning up in odd places, right? The line between a nail coat, a dental resin, and a 3D printer is already pretty thin. So we might even see nano coatings that get us closer to, the Arnold movie, Total Recall, where do you remember she's choosing the colors, she's tapping on her finger and the
Oh,
nail color changes dynamically. Like I've seen not it's not quite there, but it's pretty interesting, like the way that they use these special coatings that are then that could change multiple colors.
I saw
So
a girl
yeah.
in Japan say she was getting a manicure and she sat in front of a machine. She stuck her hand in there. She picked like what
Yes.
she wanted and then she just sat there. And when she pulled her hand out, it was done. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh man,
It's like a
couldn't.
3D printer for nails. So you just slide
Yes,
it
it was
in and it's
crazy.
like it is
It was
crazy. I've seen those
crazy.
machines, those are so cool. Like and not to say, nail techs are out of a job, right, or anything like that. I'm sure they've got a long way to go, but like those machines, like, that'll make the job a lot easier.
Right? Right.
Right.
So the
Were you
oldest version never actually died. People still do henna. There's a whole market now for the plant dye, the natural binder, the no harsh solvent option. After a century of better chemistry, a real share of people are walking back toward the recipe from 3,000 years ago. Not because it performs better, but because of what it says about them. Yeah, it's that whole like analog life. I'm gonna go live the analog life. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead. And that and that is the whole arc sitting in one bottle. 5,000 years of using the nail to show where you sat in the order, then a century of chemistry making color cheap enough that anyone could have any of it. And now, with all of it on the shelf, the choice itself is a message. The bare nail, the natural henna, the loudest red in the shop, which is what I would pick. It's still you telling everyone something about who you are.
Yeah, it's the same tension as everywhere in materials, right? High performance synthetic on one side, the gentle natural thing on the other. And most, consumers, right, flip-flopping depending upon, the week.
And whether it's your wedding, because you would never
Yeah.
wear red to your wedding, right? It would be like this nice sheer pink because that's not what you do. Anyway, 15 milliliters on a salon table, car paint, gun cotton, and 5,000-year-old status symbol all at once.
Yeah, and the same family of chemistry. I've been breathing over a model bench for years. I walked into the salon, sure, I knew nothing about what they do, but I walked out realizing I had been doing a version of it, not nearly as cool as them, with stupid Japanese plastic robots, but, yeah, I've been doing the same thing the whole time.
So maybe you'll go get a manicure where they can give you a nice clear
You
polish.
know,
It'll be
they
nice.
they wanted they were like, "You should come in, and we'll do, an episode of the podcast while you get your nails done." And I was like, I think
You know what? Now you have to go in, play this
yeah,
podcast while you get your nails done. I think they'll love it. So,
yeah, perhaps.
ladies, thanks for taking care of the girls. If you enjoyed this one, like, subscribe, share it with someone. You can reach us at nostalgicnerdpodcast@gmail.com. Marc reads everything. Thanks for listening, you guys.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Marc.
Leave it now. Leave it once. A line bends out into light. The wet says wait. I wanna move. I wanna know. The wet says wait. So I let go. magic glow. Quiet room, nothing said. Color settles on its own. Someone knew long before the wet says wait, and so I wait. I rush, I pull, I break, I know. Hold me here, hold me slow. Maybe I could learn to glow. Level out, just level out. Every mark I make goes off somehow. Level out, just level out. Leave me still and watch me glow. The wet says wait. The wet says wait. Level out.